Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to learn a little bit about nCloth, which is a tool in Maya that allows us to take material and give it a cloth-like appearance or behavior. So let's go ahead and open up Maya. And while that comes up, just give it a second here. I'm also going to go ahead and show you the proper way of setting up a project again. So from here, I'm going to change my window from the animation to modeling. Not that it really matters. And from animation here to Maya Classic, just as a starting place. Now up here, I'm going to again go down and I'm going to go to the project window. And I'm going to set a new project, or create a new project rather. And in here, I'm going to just call this my nCloth demos. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in my Maya projects again, and I'm going to hit accept. Now I'm going to go back in here under projects and set my project to that project I just created. And under my Maya projects, my nCloth demos, I'm going to set it. And now I'm going to again go to my file. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a scene, save scene as, and this is kind of the third part here, just to make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to, and there's no reason not to save it, so that as I hit save later on, it'll automatically just do it for me. And I'm going to just go ahead and call this nCloth. I'm going to show you a tablecloth approach first, so I'll just call it table, and I'm going to hit save as. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what nCloth is and some of the things that we need to do, just for your basic use of it, like it is in a tablecloth. So first, I'm going to make a table. Just going to go ahead and use my cylinder. I'm going to hit R on my keyboard, and I'm going to expand it a little bit to give me some size, and then I'm going to go ahead and just push it down a little bit and kind of make it look like a table. Pull it up off the ground just a little bit off my grid. Now I have my basic table, and now I just need a cloth, and in this case I'm going to just use a plane, and I'm going to pull my plane up above it, and again I'm going to use my R key, and I'm going to expand this. Now one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it more, you know what, first I'm going to show you what happens if we just do it this way and we don't give it more grids here, because if we just leave it like this, it can be kind of rigid, and that's one of the things you need to think about. So I'm going to go to my attributes editor, and then to the polyplane 1, and I'm just going to call this my tablecloth, so I can keep track of it. And here my subdivisions are set to 10 and 10. I'm going to leave those alone right now and just let it be. And now with my object selected, my plane selected, I'm going to now change from modeling to FX. And under FX, for my effects, you can see now I have nCloth, nHair, nConstraints, nCache, so on and so forth. And in here, if I just hit the nCloth and then I go ahead and select Create nCloth, you'll see that now I have some new objects appear. And if I go to my outliner, go ahead and open up my windows, my outliner, you can see that this cylinder is my table. This plane is my tablecloth. And now I have this nNucleus and an nCloth objects that have been added to my scene. Alright, so now with that having been made into an nCloth, I'm going to show you what happens if we don't do anything else. And basically, if you hit play on your animation, you'll see that it just falls right through because gravity takes over. The table doesn't stop it, and it just sort of just falls flat. So now what we need to do while we're under here is if I select the object that I've identified as my table, my round object there, my cylinder, and go back up to nCloth, and under nCloth I can create a passive collider. And this passive collider allows me to create an object that other objects won't pass through. If I hit play, you can see that my cloth does that, and it's very stiff because I did not give it more subdivisions. It's very rigid looking. It's just more like cardboard than cloth. So now I'm going to select my tablecloth, hit the replay button or the back button, and go back to my object here, find my tablecloth, and under one of these, here, tablecloth, probably that one there, subdivisions width and subdivision heights. I'm going to just make these kind of high and give me more flexibility when I hit play. So now if I hit play, you'll see that it behaves much more like cloth. And I'm going to span my animation out quite a bit just to give it some time to settle. Hit play, and now you'll see that it kind of bounces around. Now, one thing that could happen is if we have an object that doesn't have enough surface area or enough friction, the cloth could slide right off of it, and we can affect that with our object by selecting the table, and then here under the rigid shape 1, you'll see under collisions we have some other choices. We have a collide strength, a collide layer, thickness, etc., bounce and friction and stickiness. If we move this up a little bit, we can reduce the amount or increase the amount of friction, reduce the likelihood that the cloth will slide off, maybe even bump the stickiness up a little bit. Didn't really happen this time, but sometimes that might happen if it's not a large enough surface area or if you have some other effects occurring while you're doing this. So now you can see that my object now will go ahead and behave like a cloth. Now let's go ahead and see if we can assign some material to this, and I may have done this in the wrong order. So now I'm going to go ahead and select, put a surface on it. So I selected, right click and hold my mouse button and come up with my assign new material. I'm going to apply this surface area on this Arnold surface, and I have a file already saved that I'm going to go ahead and actually haven't put it in there yet. So let me go ahead and open up my folder here. I have one already open. I'm going to just click and drag some files into it that I want. So now I'm going to find my project inside my file folder here. Go to my E drive. Find my Maya projects, my nCloth demos, and here in source images is where we normally put these. And I have a few images that we're going to use throughout this project that I'm just going to go ahead and grab and pull right now so I don't have to worry about it later. Aha. Actually, I just want to copy them. I don't want to put them. Don't really want to move because I'm using it for another project. Okay, so I have a few things in here. So now that's set. So now with my tablecloth selected, find my standard surface, which I was already at, but I clicked off. And now I'm going to go ahead and find my, funny, I got everything but my tablecloth. So let me go ahead and put that in there now. There we go. Fabric pattern. And that's the one we're going to go ahead and use. Hit 6 on my keyboard to make it visible. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm going to go ahead and hit play. You can see that it now falls and bunches down. It's very shiny, so let's go ahead and go into the objects, into my shader, and then let's just run up the roughness a little bit so it's not quite so shiny. I don't want it to look like a plastic tablecloth. I want it to look like cloth. And so now I think that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and hit play. Alright, so it's going to keep moving for a while. At some point when you're happy with the way the animation looks, with the way the tablecloth looks from the animation, we can go ahead and just stop it there. Now let's take a look to see how it looks inside. You know what, first I'm going to go ahead and actually show you what we're going to do now to keep this form, so we don't have to keep playing the animation every time. I mean, you know, why would you want to have to do that? So under nCache, we can actually save this the way that is currently shaped. And I'm going to create a new nCache on my n object that I have selected. It's going to play it. Alright, and it's going to apply it. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy it with Control D. I'm going to hit Control D, duplicate it. I'm going to pull the duplication off. I'm going to delete this first one. And now I have a completed tablecloth. I'll just set back on top of my table. All lined up. And now it's completely set. I don't have to worry about the animation, and now it is set the way I want it. You can see if I play the animation, it just stays. And when I hit the rewind button, it stays where I need it to stay. Alright, so that is the basic part of the nCloth, and let's just see how this would look. If we went to Arnold, if I gave it some light, so go to Arnold, hit one of the globes here just for a quick light. I hit play, and there it is. There's my tablecloth inside my Arnold scene, and I think it looks pretty decent, and it's laying over the top of the table. So that's the first introduction to our nCloth. I'm going to go ahead and in the next video show you how to make a flag and then add some wind and some air density to the scene so that the animated flag actually looks like it is flying in the air. So thank you, and check out the next video, video number 2.